Imeall anocht, Come Home to Mama le Martha Wainwright. Agus Ivacha Mashathe le The Big Egg Hunt. Come Home to Mama an tedal atá chearnín uair Martha Wainwright, cearnín a dhéanann ceiliúra an mórthachas. Ní an ngaya fuair sí buas an cheol agus go dainn tá clúidir náisiúnta a Hahart Loudon Wainwright III a máthart Kate McGarrigle gan trocht Drahar Rufus. Bhí sin éireann le gard agus leir si go neamh malamh sa ghaillimh, mar eall ar na himachtaí móra a chur crut ar an gcearnín uair sannacha.
Proserpina, come home to mama, come home to mama, Proserpina.
Martha Wainwright, it's great to have you back in Ireland and you're here to perform songs from your new album, Come Home to Mama. Can you tell me a bit about the album?
Well, it's called Come Home to Mama, which is a phrase taken from one of the songs on the record called Proserpina, which I think is sort of the most important song. It's the cornerstone of the album in many ways, and Proserpina is the Latin for the Greek Persephone, which tells the story a little bit of life and death. It's a rite of spring.
I shall take away every morsel to eat. I shall turn every field into stone.
This song was the last song that my mother, the great, late Kate McGarrigle, wrote just a few months before she died, and I think it encapsulates beautifully this idea of death and rebirth, and which I sort of try and deal with in a more human, floppy way in the rest of my songwriting and the songs around it. And so the record deals a lot with, you know, the fact that she died. I wrote a lot of it right after she died, but I also had a child at the same time. So it's angry, but also hopeful.
Proserpina, Proserpina, go home to your mother, go home to Hera. Proserpina, Proserpina.
That theme of motherhood runs through some of these songs, and the timing of things. When you lost your mother very close to the time that you became a mother yourself.
Yeah.
How close?
They were simultaneous. My son Archangelo's due date, it was the day that my mother died. But because he was born 2.5 months early, he was born very premature in London, England, she was able to meet him. She flew over to see him, and so she got to hold him. And then when she held him and flew back to Montreal, she got into bed and got smaller and shrunk and stopped eating and died. And as that happened, my son Arcangelo, got larger and larger in his incubator. And so it was a very interesting, difficult, but also very beautiful in some ways, transference of life between the two of them.
Did a spell of creativity follow that period? In terms of your songwriting?
Yes, I mean, I think that, you know, I think there was so many emotions, and I really didn't want to become disturbed around the baby, especially because he had a difficult beginning. I would put him down to rest or hand him over to my husband and go up and write songs for maybe an hour or two a day. And I think that is really where I expressed a lot of what I truly felt, and a lot of the sadness and a lot of the anger, and so there was a lot of emotions. God, you know, as if I hadn't had enough before. But yeah, I seem to really write songs, I guess, out of these kinds of personal trials and tribulations, and much to the chagrin of people around me who have to be, you know, mentioned in the songs.
I was going to say, because, you know, we get a sense of the challenges and then the payback of being in a relationship. You've got references to the 7-year itch, to make up sex and all this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Does your partner get a bit paranoid when you read some of
Luckily,
your
he doesn't
song
pay
lyrics?
attention. Well, he didn't pay attention for a long time, and then I think my husband, his name is Brad, and he plays bass with me, and he produced my first couple of records. So he knows me. We have known each other for a long time. He knows this about me, but I don't think he noticed quite how much he was sort of used, let's say, on this record until he was up on stage having to play the songs in front of him, in front of people, and he was embarrassed and a bit pissed off, I think, and rightfully so. So, but we've talked about it, and you know, I think that it's important not to shackle an artist, and it's also important for an artist to feel that he or she can maybe take the truth and reality and take it a little further than maybe it really is in order to be more interesting.
I really like the makeup sex. It's the only kind I ever get. And when I'm gazing longingly in your eyes, it's not for you but the self I left behind.
You mentioned that your son was born while you were on the road. Was touring a big feature of your upbringing?
Not so much, in that my mother and my aunt were true artists. My Aunt Anna still is, but they were very lucky as songwriters to have other people sing their songs, which meant that when they had children, they were able to stay at home with them and stay at home with us, and still be able to make a living by allowing other people to do a lot of the footwork in the touring. Although we did spend summers doing folk festivals, Canadian folk festivals, British folk festivals, European folk festivals, and so those were really fun. Those were really fun.
What age did you first go up on stage?
Yeah, like 6 or something like that. But it was very funny. There's footage because back in those days, if I'm saying that, I don't think they brought minders with them or anything. You know, there was no nanny. I mean, there's footage of me on stage sort of playing. I'm supposed to be singing, I think, because they would put us to work. And my brother Rufus would earnestly be up at his microphone singing, you know, Stephen Foster or whatever, like with his perfect harmony, and I would sort of be distracted and in front of a mic, sort of shy. And then my younger cousin, Sylvan Lily Anna's kids, would literally be like playing with blocks on the stage because I guess they hadn't brought anyone to watch them. So it's very sweet.
That was some apprenticeship, though, I'd say.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. And then when you began to go with music, I suppose full time, you started out initially with your brother Rufus.
Yeah. I was his backup singer for his first 2 records, and we toured a lot.
Yeah. Do you remember feeling a kind of an impulse of having to break away and forge your own career as a solo performer?
Well, I don't think I'm a very good backup singer, you know, because I have kind of a very particular voice. And I think also he was getting annoyed because I was sort of, instead of diligently just standing there and singing, I was sort of like flailing my arms and trying to get attention from the audience, which is not exactly what you want in a backup singer. So I think he had enough of it.
The new album is absolutely beautiful, and you have some incredible musicians playing with you. When you then decide to go on a solo tour, do you enjoy touring alone? I
love playing alone. I like being on stage alone. I like walking and having time to read. But you know, I must admit that having a child and not being with him, and you know, being married and not being able to like run after people, you know, it doesn't make it as appealing. I can see why, you know, it's very lonely, and in some ways that's very meditative and wonderful, and in other ways it's hard.
Proserpina, Proserpina, come home to mama, come home to mama.
When people are first introduced to your music, I suppose they're told about your mother, your father, your brother. Do you remember a moment when you realized that do you know what, I'm not somebody's daughter, I'm not somebody's brother, I'm an artist in my own right, and stop mentioning all these names.
Yeah, I think I used to feel that when I started off. But you know what I would give to be my mother's daughter again.
Finally, we're nearly there, but Come Home to Mama is the title of the album. We're celebrating motherhood on the record. Was it difficult to record that song that your mother wrote?
It wasn't that difficult to record in that I was desperate to record it because really it was sort of a last gift to my brother Rufus and I, but mainly to me too, because it's a mother and daughter story. And so I wanted to snag it up and do it. And also I think it was at a time that I couldn't really believe that she was gone, so I closed my eyes while singing it and tried to emulate her, and still in a stage of disbelief where I hoped to perhaps open my eyes and that she would still be there.
Come home to mama, come home to mama now.
Fáilte Harnash. Tá céad eilíontóir tréis mhór a bhaisiú le haig taspánta se bheith arsúil fud bhleach lia dín 15 Márta, agus den fir na hifecha goléir a dhéal in dhéag son le hargad a bhailiú le haig fondúireacht Jack and Jill. Ó le héadí Robert Balla go Graham Nuttall tá réimse leathan eilíontóir tréis páirteach lecha ann, agus le mar dúirscóirt rusa ó snodaigh ar an díolat le dul ar an big egg hunt.
Gonna find her. I'm gonna find her.
Bhí gan scetamíní ormsa nuair a bhíon óg ag dul am tóiríoch duibh. Agus wathe leis le fundúireacht Jack and Jill tá sí tréis láthair bhlá clia ar fád an cathair agus an chundé hiúntú isteacha láthair tóiríocht duibh agus níomhain sin ach láthair taspántas a líana. Ceannas na cína smó bhéis a going am líana. Agus inniu tá mise chun dul chun iad ar lig a aimsiú. Now, tá an seo a páircan éon isce chun túsa chur leis an tóiríocht. Tá mé déine go ceann a bhó an seo. Agus tá má ruthánna gom agus má aim a ceire códna ní bheith ag 16 eile le fáil gom agus má aimsí siad sin beag blian de seachlóid Lily O'Brien a gom agus bheith sin bras. Bheith mar bhean bras ásta le sin péibre, but okay, go mé an sás go hána níos.
You know I will.
Teach le chéile mór an ceann seo nach cha. Ar nós an stuff a bheitha nuair a aon tú an cad é paint ola agus nuair a chasan tú é timpeall tagan an 6 Milan seo amach tá neart obre chun is brala tá cuma an dasar. Riaga leis an óir agus an cocra siúd na dahanna sin. Tá cuma an dasar. Tá is ag duine ag an chunas paint a bhasca agus rudaí a chruthú. Tone agus mar sin de agus spás agus cruit rud ag an cruthathe a chun son. So seo Joby Hickey. Now tugann sé léirscáil cuimhne ar seo. They're going to be Vic Joby Hickey den of cupáin mór a fatamil agus Vic sé den of cad é sléifte le daoine tamán timpplair so is atgúil an stíl umlan ahra ag Joby sa gúir seo. But tá an down ann, beidir gur hastal sé an down agus tá éire míltach I gumparáid. Ó sin é is brala mé, sin níocha mé é. Níl sasna ann. Tá éire ann, níl éon sasna ann. Agus an chuid eile an down ann. Joby ag pleiceocht mar sin. Shuhi Pamela Debris, agus Shuhi of Nish Pamela, Inistum Gadira Qatar and show.
Well, is blasje eden zeker alina taider lava agam filo her. Koig me roher ag lanocht an boher in the V ag Midland Great Western fodo ag Dulles Jack quick station ag Sula.
Tá picturí deartha agat ar seo nó ar bhealach éigen tá tú a gúsáid óh mar ábhar céco Jackar is sin le hobar le.
Bhí sé Jackar go lár, mar tá cuair an óh mar ecintíh, so tá sé Jackar greengrafna cur agus cumala sin tá sé an Jackar líonta díirecha a haring freisin, tá decóta varnish.
Decóta varnish. Oh yeah, Irene Ullman agus an Bullabáistín agus na capal sin tá cuma ortha bhfuil siad glánas a bhéir a bheith dul timp. Anyway, cad éon cód seo, cód a chuige anna bhá. Tá gá ceann eile tá park an seo massam. Oh yeah, tá ceann a lár buil go thomláin, right. Staach lein go lár buil. Paulo Tulio, code 803. So, Anya tá Anna ag ortha Anya bhí na géisteachla radio agus a géisteachla daoine bhí na bléir vastóireacht ar bia seo Paulo Tulio sesin an duine idálach agus bhí mar gcóí smaoine faoi mosaics in idál ach ní bhain sin tá sesin a pleiciíocht le nathracha nimhe ag tuairt nathracha nimhe a raisisteach chuig éire le linn an charís.
I'm moving with my thumbs.
Is das go bhfuil rudí có heagsúil agus támad ar fád agsúil tá rion ar lámh na méiricha có agsúil agus seo mosaic green grafadorach ceann eile nílas an conas ar airig le duine an carousel nó Bullabáistín na bhainteach ach dardig le féintal ceann sa rudís Jackar le paintal ar ómh agus so bhfuil tanín sin sin fá go sin móthúm ná go bheith sé seo den for gadíocht ar seo cinnte ba chuir go méoch an plastic timp ar sin. Oh yeah. Tána going ar fáidir bána Gallagher ó na commitments agus le déanaí na grabbers. Níor bhís gom sa go raibh sí amón alíana tá sí trí creathach de éisc chuiristeach ómh grá. Is deist an alíonn dul a bhaim mar an phobal sa bailach nach déon muna bhfuil duine ag na dul isteach a gallery tá an gallery inis ag teacht chuig na daoine. An cúige lá ag Marta beag si tuair fáidir a feiscint in san CHQ tá sin híos in san IFSC agus ciatún céad cín agus an sonna iníag sin be ceant mór ag Jack and Jill Foundation agus iad ag tunú go méid si ar fád á níl. Derry Clark ceannas na Hallintóirí bia is fearr an éireann, cócara agus for mach an fearr seo Derry Clark boss agus i ddíorcha gíise séad agus bhí an cionnig a bhacha ar an rásaíocht seo deis den ahar a bhacha cheúra ar instant passion a bhí aige. Cruisanáid cearta seo seomarí na leanaí thuas an susa siopa seo, so bheith antais mothirí dó thar seo agus is stocha ar bheith rá, bantanamh as na fáistí fad atá siad leat agus go bhharir siad i do dhéag socha gur sin cuid den méid atá rá again so.
Trees to the spire and the sunset.
Ní eistóir tú go dtí go bhfuil an Oscar agat so agus ní duine mór le ráthú go dtí go bhfuil saothar de chuid Graham Nuttall agat.
And the time stops.
Bhí is gom gur Nuttall a bhí ann leis na bhí na súile slíomhín ó súile sleann a gcónaige i ngach le pictiúr. Tá sé tar éis an crut a bhrisise tá rá cearc tá amach, ní fiú ceann amháin a rá cearc. Tá na dachanna glóite ar, níor stad sé go dtí go raibh an rud chu gur an chuma ar. Ceannas na rudaí is deise déanta as ifacha, ná an seaclaid, but tá neartíí feice gom agus bolman chuid eile eiscint agus má tá aon eile trí léana, í gád feigan sás go hán, feigan léirscail nó, spring de thuúil ar oscailt agus beidir go gcéad túí, mór himpeall na carach ar fad agus an condé ar fad, ach tasí gach aon duine nuair a hagan an cás tamar ar fad craicáil ar faoi ifacha.
Well, film Adrisha Martha Wainwright agus beg Avrana Nishugan on a Kernin Ur, Shahanishi le Can You Believe It? Eva.
I really like the makeup sex. It's the only kind I ever get. And when I'm gazing longingly in your eyes, it's not for you but the self I left behind. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it felt so wrong? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it feels so alright? I'm sharpening the chip on my shoulder. As I get angrier, I get older. There are fewer and fewer people to complain to. So I built a ship of shit and directed at you. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it felt so wrong? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it feels so alright? I'll show you mine if you show me the time of day in your braidless glove. We'll drink some wine and with the pace of time you'll surely make love. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it felt so wrong? Can you believe it? Can you believe it? Can you believe it feels so alright? I love you, baby, I don't know why. It's the chemicals I see in